Hello and welcome to Greenfield Community Television. I am the station manager here, Bella Levavi, and I am here with the executive director of the organization MoB, Bart Church. Welcome to the television station.
Thank you for having me.
So why don't we just start by you telling me what this organization is and what do you guys do?
So QMOB started 3.5 years ago in Berkshire County in Western Mass, and it was primarily started because there was no regular social, recreation, or arts and culture programming for queer men in the rural area that surrounded the Berkshires, and so there was a lot of queer activities at things like Mass Mocha, Jacob's Pillow, Tanglewood, but there was no regular activities where people could meet one another. And during COVID, we lost almost all of our coffee houses and bars and queer owned businesses. And so there was just like this desert of nothing happening. And so QMOB was founded to bring rural queer men out of isolation and into regular activities where they could get to know one another and broaden and deepen their network of neighbors that they know and care about in the queer community. We grew from about 30 people doing 4 activities a month to now we do more than 30 activities a month. And we now serve 8 counties in 4 states. And we've expanded into the Pioneer Valley. And so we're now offering regular social activities like potlucks, coffee clutches, and boarding card games. And then we also offer regular arts and culture activities. Like we have a couple of fiber arts groups that do fiber arts together. We have groups that go to dance, theater, music, and things like museums and art galleries together. And then we have a bunch of outdoor recreation programming. So it's paddling, hiking, biking, swimming. And so we've greatly expanded both the number of activities we offer as well as the geography that we serve. The other thing that we've changed in the last 2 years is we have some big grants to offer regular arts and culture programming for the whole LGBT community because we got really good at arts and culture programming, and no other organization was doing nearly the extent that we were. So we decided to open up all our arts and culture programming to the whole LGBT community in Western Mass. And then we have a similar grant to do outdoor recreation for the whole LGBT community. So all of our hiking stuff and biking and swimming stuff is now all for the whole LGBT community. So that's a little bit about how we got started. And the reason that we serve such a big territory is at our very first events, we were regularly getting people coming from 4 different states. So people were driving up to 2 hours to come to a coffee clutch or come to a dance performance at Jacob's Pillow. So we were like, okay, we can't limit who we're serving to just Berkshire County because people are coming regularly from the whole rural region because they all have similar needs for community. And so we just said, let's just serve the whole rural region of Western Mass. And so so we are about 60-70% of our events are for queer men, but the other, kind of 40% of our events is for everybody in the LGBT community. And we make that distinction because sometimes there aren't enough people in an audience in the just of queer men to make an arts and culture event work. So if we invite the whole community, then we can offer lots more arts and culture program because we have a bigger pool of people to come and buy tickets and go to those events.
Can you speak to me about the importance of providing these activities specifically for queer men and queer people, and what this does for like mental health and creating larger social networks?
Yeah, well, after COVID, we unfortunately saw that rural queer people were spending about 8 to 9 hours a day on social media and screens. So people developed habits of being on screens during COVID, but then after COVID ended, those habits have continued to be driven by algorithms. So there's really sophisticated algorithms that are grabbing people's eyeballs and their attention and keeping it for a third of their life. And so QMOB, our core thing that we're trying to address is that isolation that comes from spending too much time on screens. There's a very big thing that happens with oxytocin. When you are in real time with real people, your oxytocin levels, which is the joy hormone, they go way up. Just by looking somebody in the eye, being in their presence, being around them, you feel better, and you feel better for a long period of time. Dopamine, which is the hormone that gets excreted when you're clicking on screens, is very short-lived. It's very addictive. So it just gives you a little high every time you press a button and get a little thing going on your screen. Oxytocin is the hormone that kept human beings together and liking and caring about one another. And so when you and I are looking on this screen at one another, we don't have any oxytocin from that eye gaze at all. It's something about videos. It robs us of that. But if we were in real time with one another, the minute you look at me and I look at you, both of our oxytocin goes way up. And the same with just being in the same room with a group of people. As long as you feel safe, you're going to feel noticeably better just by being around other people in real time. So that's the core kind of problem that QMO is trying to solve, is getting people into real events, getting to know one another over time that are regular events. The other thing that helps people with is people that have a broader and deeper network of neighbors that they know and care about are much more resilient when bad things happen, like you lose your job or you have a heart attack or you have a stroke. If you've got 12 people who know and care about you, that 12 people is a lot better at helping you than if you just have 2 friends who can quickly get overwhelmed by whatever that crisis is. So by showing up regularly in these fun activities, social, recreation, arts and culture, you slowly build a network of people who care about you. And that network ends up being the main predictor about how you'll do when you have heart disease, diabetes, cancer, stroke, kind of chronic fatigue, all those autoimmune disorders. People do so much better when they have a broader, deeper network of support. So drugs are a lot less effective than that network at treating those illnesses. And the Surgeon General did a big study that came out right when we were founded about the epidemic of loneliness and the epidemic of isolation in the United States. And he said it is the #1 epidemic in the country. There's nothing more dangerous than isolation. And in rural areas after COVID, isolation became a disease driven by algorithms. And so it's not just background isolation, it's being actively attacked. Your consciousness, your relationships are being actively attacked by algorithms that are pulling you out of relationships. So if you spend 8 hours a day on a screen, you're not in a coffee shop, you're not in anything with real people, and you're not getting to know real people. And so it's a dangerous for public health.
Totally.
We're seeing in rural areas, we're seeing greatly increased diabetes, obesity, heart disease, cancer, stroke, all those chronic illnesses that come from being sedentary are going through the roof among LGBT people. The other thing I would say about LGBT people in rural areas, they tend to live alone. About 70% of them live alone. About 70% of them do not have children. So they don't have a generation under them to help them when they have problems, especially when they age. A huge number of them are disaffected from their family, their church, and their senior center, if they have a senior center. They don't participate in their birth family, they don't participate in churches, and they don't participate in senior centers. So they are uniquely living alone, not very well connected to the other institutions that in rural areas that usually bring people together. They even tend not to go to the local pub because they don't feel welcome there. So unless we create our own spaces where queer people are clearly welcome, we end up being very isolated. So that's kind of a core mission of QMob, the core thing we try to address. That's why we offer 30 activities every month, is we want a place for you to find your people, the people that share your passion, your interests. If you love birding, we want you to go to a birding activity every month and hang out with those birders. And they become your, if you like quilting, we want you to find that fiber arts group and then find those quilters and then get to know them. Same with if you love dance, go to dance every month. There's dance happening all over Western Mass. Go to dance, get to know those dance lovers, and then all those geeks help one another. They support one another. They care about one
Okay.
another.
So why separate out queer men as opposed to a larger queer community? Like how did that become the focus or initially?
People who are female or feminine identified are have really good hormones that support them in building uh, informal and friendship relationships. So women are much better at valuing informal relationships, people that they know and care about. Their circle is much greater than men's. So unfortunately, queer men are a lot like straight men. They tend not to be very good at building a social network. They don't invest much time in it. They don't invest much energy in it. So they're much more likely to be far more isolated because of how sexism works on men. It makes them not ask for help, not value friendships in the same way that women do, and people that are feminine identified. So, so the reason that we focused on men is of all the LGBT isolation, they are probably the most isolated because they are not very good in general at maintaining friendships and more informal networks of support. It's not to say that they all are, but in general, men are far worse at that than women, and they are far worse throughout their life, but especially when they get in when they get over 60. They just tend to drift into one or two people that they know, and that's it, which is very dangerous when you're in your 60s, 70s, and 80s. If you the bigger your network, the more likely you are to succeed. So women need less help with social networks. Your average woman has about 8 people that they communicate with regularly, and they do that as a core part of their life. The same is not true of queer men. They've got maybe 2. So it's just a big difference, and it has to do with sexism, and we think also hormones. So, but it's beyond hormones. It's sexism itself makes people more likely to value social relationships or less. And it really, people with low testosterone don't necessarily have good social connections if they still identify as male. They tend to be just as isolated as people with high testosterone. So it's not just a science thing, it's also a sexism thing. Like it's how from birth men are trained to value work, accomplishment, getting things done, not relationships. And women from the time they're born are taught your success as a human being depends on your relationships. So we're trying to counteract that problem that starts, unfortunately, at birth.
Sounds like a big problem you're fixing with Birding Club.
It is. And while we have a public health focus, our core value is fun.
Mm-hmm.
We want people to have fun because when they have fun, oxytocin goes up and they get reinforced to repeat that behavior. So we are a fun factory. We make fun. And so,
Awesome.
and we do that in lots of different ways that different kinds of geeks like. So, because what's fun for a person that loves board games is very different from a birder, is very different from a hiker who wants to kind of conquer that mountain. They're all different. They have different experiences of fun that come through them. And at the end of that activity, they feel joy. So we encourage people to offer lots of different activities that they will find fun, and invite people to come do that with you. And that is our core important secret sauce is fun. You do things you find fun, and we'll help you invite people to come do it with you. And that's why our calendar is so big, and why it reaches several thousand people. Is we want a lot of people to have lots of options for fun, because we think that the revolution needs to be fun. If we are going to resist the current fascist administration, it's going to be through fun and the networks that fun create. That's what we believe, and that fun is a very revolutionary. When algorithms are making huge amounts of money off of making us more and more isolated, it becomes a revolutionary act to say, I'm going to have fun with real people in real time. Every time you do that, you're taking a stand for humanity and for your own humanity, and you're building a network of support. So it's not a silly thing. It's a very powerful intervention, and it's something that everybody can do. Just go have fun every month. Have fun with a group of people you get to know. It's simple, and out of that will come a strong network that lets you cope with losing your job, losing your health insurance, having a health crisis. All of those things are easier when you've had fun with people on a regular basis and they know you, and they will go, of course I'll help. And then you have a whole network of support that you could not have imagined. People, oh, you need a wheelchair. I have a friend who has a wheelchair. I'll go get that for you. It's amazing what a network can do. And it's also frightening when somebody has a stroke, they need heart surgery, and there is no one to give them a ride to the doctor to get that, or nobody to take them to the hospital and then pick them back up, which I've had. That happens once or twice a month. I have somebody who calls and says, I have nobody to take me to the hospital. And I'm like, okay, then so again, there's a big public health underpinning to what we do that's really important. But we want it to start with and end with fun.
Agreed. So, you're a fun factory for thousands of people across a really wide area. Can you talk more about what's going on in Franklin County and the Pioneer Valley is what you guys label it as. So tell us what's happening around here.
So every month we do a planning coffee clutch at a different home in the Pioneer Valley. In June, our planning coffee clutch, where we plan all the activities for the next couple of months, it will be in Franklin County. We have not set that date. We've set the date. It's always the third Sunday, but we haven't set the location yet. We will get it soon. But it will be in Franklin County. And we move that planning coffee clutch every month. It's a different part of the Pioneer Valley. So we do Hampshire County one month, we do Hampden County one month, and then we come back to Franklin. So Franklin's turn is in June. We also will be at Franklin Pride, which is on June 13th. And we also will be doing a sacred shamanic sound journey on May 31st. That will actually be in Hadley, which is close enough.
Mm-hmm.
We're doing a fiber arts group at the Forbes Library in Northampton. Again, not Franklin County, but close enough. We're doing a spectacular sunset hike at Mount Sugarloaf, which is in Deerfield. Again, not Franklin County, but and that's on May
Franklin County, actually.
Oh, it is?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Good. So that's on May 27th. And then at Amherst Cinema, we're doing a Frida Kahlo documentary about her life and her work. And that's on May 19th. And then we're doing every month, we do a Crimen's board and card games meetup at THCC, which is in East Hampton. And that's for people who like board card games or role-playing games. And then we have, we're in the process of planning a couple of hikes. We're going to have a Chesterfield Gorge hike. We usually finalize our June schedule by the 20th of May. So we're kind of in the next week, we'll finalize all those deadlines. But the ones I just mentioned are all on the calendar right now. And yeah, and we try to encourage everybody that interacts with our organization to host events that they find fun. So we don't, we're not, we like for people to become community creators, not just community consumers. It's easy for people to go, I'll go to something somebody else organizes. We try and encourage people to take that leap, because once you pick something you really love and you lead it, you meet everybody in a different way and you get to know them in a different way. And then if you hold that every month, that space, you get to the relationships are really the hosts of our activities get the most benefit because they know people over time and they
Definitely.
interact with all the people that are interested in that, whatever they're offering. Now, we understand that 80% of people do not want to host. They want to be a consumer. They want to just go to, so that's fine. That's why we offer a lot of things, but we always encourage people. You'll get a lot more bang for buck in terms of building your network when you host something than just coming along as a passive participant.
That's so
And yeah,
great.
we also encourage people to volunteer for the same reason. When you volunteer and you're part of a team, everybody on that team knows you, you work with them, you get to know them. Our volunteers do really well in terms of a strong network. So it's the further out you kind of revolve around the community, the less you get, connected. The closer you are to the center of regular activities, the more likely it is you'll build that network quickly and deeply.
Very true. So, can you tell me about you guys are launching a program called Rainbow Pages? Can you tell me what that is?
Yeah, the Western Mass Rainbow Pages is going to be a comprehensive directory of queer owned and queer welcoming businesses, professionals, and community organizations and resources. So, one of the things that's fascinating about Western Mass is for the last 40 years, there have been more LGBT people in Western Mass per capita than in Boston. And this area has been an LGBT mecca and center for at least 40 years. In Berkshire County, we go back more than 100 years when important LGBT authors, musicians lived in Berkshire County and performed at Tanglewood and at all kinds of arts organizations. So it's been a literary and dance and music capital for at least 100 years. And LGBT people have been moving here for a long time. But the Rainbow Pages is designed to teach us how big and diverse our community is. We are bigger than Provincetown. We are bigger than Boston in terms of our per capita representation of LGBT people. But we don't have any center of where you can see that. So the Rainbow Pages is designed to be this comprehensive, so you can see all the organizations, all the businesses, all the professionals, and you see how big our community is and how diverse it is. And that then reinforces to people that they have a big network. So the Rainbow Pages is it's a physical printed directory, and it's also online directory that shows you that you belong to a big, strong network. Because right now there are a lot of LGBT businesses, but finding them can be challenging because they don't always advertise that, and there's no central place to find them all. It's really hard to find an LGBT attorney, an LGBT accountant, an LGBT landscape designer. You have to really work. As we head into a really bad economy, where we're probably facing at least a recession, all of our LGBT businesses are going to need strong, loyal customers. Well, the strongest and most loyal customers of an LGBT business tend to be LGBT people. So if we can connect consumers with their businesses that support their community, we will build a much stronger economic base for this amazing community. Um, and so that's kind of the core idea. The same is true of our organizations. It can be really hard to find that volleyball group in Hadley, that queer volleyball. It's like, yes, they have a social media somewhere, but finding them is really hard. If you can find it on one calendar one place that AI and Google can kind of show you all these results that are reliable and been verified. The contact information, the information about when and where it meets is all kind of organized. Then suddenly people can support those organizations by volunteering, by donating money, and most importantly, by seeking out help or support from those organizations. So it makes a stronger community to have one place where you can find everything. We're modeling it on Provincetown has a Provincetown Business Guild, which is an LGBT business guild that created this amazing website for Provincetown that made Provincetown a world destination for queer travelers and people that want to move to that area. We want to build a similar website that encourages people who are local to support their local businesses, and then also travelers to go to that flower shop when you need flowers, or go to our our
Restaurants. Yeah.
yeah, hotels. We have an enormous number of LGBT owned hotels throughout the Western Mass. Well, again, finding them hard to do, but once you've got a list of all of them and they've been verified, then it's easy to go, oh, that hotel looks gorgeous and it's not that expensive. I'm going to go there because it supports the LGBT community. And oh, by the way, those hoteliers will know the community. When I get there, they'll know all the places I should go and who I should. So it builds synergy of, if you go to a gay restaurant, they're going to know about the gay florist or the architect or so it creates a network of support for businesses, professionals, and community organizations.
Incredible. Bart, you just told me all about how QMob is solving the public health crisis of isolation through the fun factory and also helping build economic strength. Is there anything else you want to talk about before we wrap up?
I would just say that, unfortunately, in the last 3 years, we have seen an unprecedented attack on the LGBT community. We've had millions of dollars of LGBT arts funding cut by the NEA. We've had all DEI programs all over the country at the municipal, town level, state level. They've all been cut. So all trans service members in the military have been fired and lost their jobs. Trans people are losing their health care. All over the country, they're being denied health care. So we are under enormous attack right now. And that is going to continue for the next 3 years. Even if they lose the midterms, we're still going to be under attack because they use us to get people to come to the polls. So they use attacking us. So we have to take control of our own narrative, and we have to create our own community and our own strength, so that we take Massachusetts for granted. We cannot. We need to be very, very closely together and connected and working together to resist what the attack. Because our budget has been cut by 25% because of funding cuts across the board. 25% of our budget's gone. That is true of every LGBT organization I know. We are all struggling. And so we need to be, as a community, we need to be strongly supporting one another and knowing one another. And so come have fun, and support your community, because they are creating narratives that is horrible about us. They're telling people terrible things about us. We need to tell the world wonderful things about us. And one of the best ways to do that is create a network of support. That everything we do is on social media. We create videos, we create pictures, we show the community what a wonderful community we are as an LGBT community. That's really important right now, so that all of our straight allies go, of course, they've been here for 100 years. Of course, they're our neighbors. Of course, we're going to stand up for them. And that way the state money offsets some of the money that's lost by federal. So anyway, that's a little call to action.
Well, thank you, Bart. Thank you so much for your time.